The Baltimore Ravens have just signed wide receiver Russell Gage today. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. And we are only a couple days away from Friday, which is the first game since the Baltimore Ravens postseason loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Very exciting playing against the Eagles. We will be doing a pregame stream. We will be doing a postgame stream. So make sure to come through. We'll probably start the pregame an hour before the game, and then we'll start the postgame right when the game ends. Very excited for it. Let us know in the comment section down below your thoughts, your opinions on this signing, and also topics you want us to talk about before the Ravens' first game is back. Because once we start seeing games, it's a lot easier to talk about these players. We have Russell Gage now, veteran wide receiver Russell Gage, who has spent most of his career with the Falcons, also played on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who missed all of last season with a knee injury, is coming back, and he's going to play for the Baltimore Ravens. So if you want to know anything about Russell Gage, the first thing is that most of his career, he's not been spending it on necessarily good teams for a large portion of his career. Not saying all of it, but he was usually playing with good quarterbacks, but poor teams. And when he was most recently playing 2022, that was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, not a terrible team by any means. He put up 51 receptions. He had 426 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also, good thing to point out is 4 drops as well. But he does have good hands. This is not a player that I would worry about drops with. I mean, 70 targets, 4 drops. That's not great. That's not terrible. But he does have good size. He is not like crazy undersized. He's 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, and has been a pretty productive receiver for his entire career. I believe his best year of his career was the 3rd year in the NFL. When he was playing with the Falcons, he had over 700 yards receiving. And when you get a player like that, he's only 28 years old. This is not a receiver that the Ravens are signing that's 31, right? This isn't, it's not Nelson Agholor. And I'm not saying he's better than Agholor, but he's not out of, his athletic prime. The question is, hey, this guy just missed all of last year with a knee injury. How good is he going to be coming back? And obviously the hope is he's going to be fine. And you can get, if you get 2022 Russell Gage this season, the Baltimore Ravens are going to be ecstatic. That is a player that would make this roster. And that is a player that would probably be a 200 yards receiving and maybe a couple of touchdowns player. Because remember, we're not signing him to necessarily go out there and be our number 2. We're not signing him to be our number 3. We're probably not even signing him to be our number 4. But we're signing him to be a good veteran leader that's been a part and teammates with some pretty good wide receivers in his career. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I believe he had some overlap with Julio Jones back in Atlanta, as well as Ridley. Those are some good receivers. He's also played with good quarterbacks, Brady. And then obviously we all know of Matt Ryan, another very good quarterback. So he has experience. He's played with some great players. How is he going to be able to transfer that? And I think bringing that to a room with a lot of young guys, including Zay, even Bateman, Devontae Walker, Tylan Wallace. This is a player that's been productive in the NFL. Adding that with Nelson Agholor gives them a nice tandem of veterans that they can throw in, and players that, he's a guy that's been able to score touchdowns. He's been able to get the jump balls in his career. If you guys want to look up his highlight reel, his best plays of his career, he definitely has some big time plays. He can go underneath. He can go on the sideline and make the jump ball. He can really do it all. And what the Ravens are looking for is, can you come in and be that wide receiver 4 on certain situations? If someone goes down with an injury, knock on wood, are you going to be able to step in and fill that role? He can provide many different roles. He can go out there and do many different things, and that provides value. Also, John Harbaugh did say the expectation and hope is for him to play in the preseason game Friday. So that'll really be our first look at him coming back from injury. But I'm really happy with this signing. Obviously there's a lot of Brandon Ayuk news that's happening right now, and some people are frustrated the Ravens aren't reaching out. Remember, Brandon Ayuk, I think the number that I've seen is he wants like $32 million a year. The Ravens don't have $32 million in cap space. They don't have it this year. They don't have it next year. They probably have it in 3 years. But again, we have a lot of contracts coming up. So we can't really get Brandon Ayuk because he wants a contract. So, yes, the Steelers may be getting him. The Browns may be getting him. Maybe it's the Patriots. But the Ravens are still making good veteran additions like they always do going into the preseason, right? Last year, we got Clowney. We brought in Kyle Van Noy. You know, we years prior, it was Justin Houston and Jason Pierre-Paul. The Ravens absolutely love to bring in their veteran players. And typically, when they bring them in, it's not a they have to be great or else we're going to, the Ravens are going to fall at the face of the earth. No, it's low risk, high return. If Russell Gage does nothing for the Ravens, what's the negative? You used a roster spot? Even if he doesn't make the roster, what's the negative? You had a tryout. Like, that's not a negative. And if he does come in and he gives you 150 yards and 1 touchdown, what's the positive? You got 150 yards and 1 touchdown out of a player. So it's not necessarily a move that's going to change the face of the Baltimore Ravens, but it's also not a move that's going to hurt the Ravens. I think the only thing this can bring is positive outcomes, and any move that is a positive outlook on the team, on the receiving core, is going to be a good move in my book. If you guys are interested in PFF, I know most people aren't big fans. I'm not a big fan of PFF, but going through his career, 2022, 67.7. Again, 51 receptions, 426 yards. 2021, that was his last year with the Falcons. He had 770 yards on 66 receptions, 4 touchdowns. So, like, this was a guy that he was a productive player in the NFL. If you've watched, if you were watching Falcons football back then, you know the name Russell Gage. So this isn't a no-name player that, will he make the roster? I think he probably will make the roster. The question is now, Deontay Hardy is in competition. There's obviously guys like Dayton Wade and other undrafted rookies that are fighting for these wide receiver spots. But Russell Gage is a really good football player. If someone's able to beat him out, that shows that they are better. And I think any competition you can have in a wide receiver room that, isn't necessarily the best in the NFL. They're not the worst either. I'd say it's pretty average in terms of NFL wide receiver rooms. Getting more depth and getting more competition, especially before preseason, is going to help them a lot. Let me know in the comment section down below your guys' thoughts on Russell Gage. Are you excited? Are you upset because you wanted Tylan Wallace to get a better chance, or whoever it was that you guys like? Let me know. Thanks so much. Subscribe for more. I'll see you again tomorrow.